Hello and welcome to Mr.Game Review Show. Don't forget to subscribe the channel, hit the like button and put a comment below the video. Thank you so much. Totally Rad, known as Magic John in Japan, is a platformer game developed by MR.Game and published by Jaleco for the NES in 1991. The game is a vibrant mix of action, platforming, and magic-based gameplay, and it stands out for its quirky storyline and colorful presentation. In Totally Rad, you play as Jake, known as John in the Japanese version, a teenager who learns magic from a sorcerer named Zebediah to save his kidnapped girlfriend and thwart the evil plans of a villain named Edigi. The storyline is filled with humorous dialogue and a distinctly 90s vibe, complete with slang and a laid-back, radical attitude. The game's cutscenes are notable for their colorful, comic book-like art style, which adds personality and charm to the experience. The English localization adds an extra layer of humor with its exaggerated use of 90s slang, though some players might find it a bit over the top. Totally Rad boasts vibrant and colorful graphics for an NES title with well-animated sprites and varied environments. The backgrounds are detailed, and the visual effects of the magic spells are impressive for the time. The game's art style is distinct, contributing to its unique charm. The music and sound effects are energetic and fitting for the game's tone, though the soundtrack might not be as memorable as some other NES titles. The tunes are catchy enough to keep the player engaged, and they complement the action well. The gameplay in Totally Rad combines platforming with magic-based combat. Jake can jump, shoot, and cast various spells that he learns throughout the game. These spells range from elemental attacks to transformation abilities, which add variety to the gameplay. The ability to transform into different creatures like a bird or a fish adds a unique twist to the platforming, allowing for different strategies to tackle levels. However, the game can be quite challenging, with difficult enemy patterns and tricky platforming sections. The controls are generally responsive, but some players might find them a bit stiff, especially when trying to execute precise jumps or maneuvers. The level design is varied, featuring different environments and enemies, though some stages can feel a bit repetitive. Boss fights are a highlight, offering unique challenges that require both platforming skill and smart use of magic. Totally Rad is a distinctive and enjoyable NES platformer that stands out for its quirky story, colorful graphics, and magic-based gameplay. While it has some difficulty spikes and occasional control issues, it remains a fun and memorable experience, particularly for those who appreciate the 90s aesthetic and humor. It's not the most polished platformer on the NES, but its unique elements make it worth playing, especially for fans of the genre. Totally Rad features several boss fights throughout the game. These boss encounters are one of the highlights, offering unique and challenging battles that require the player to use both platforming skills and magic abilities effectively. Each boss typically has its own pattern of attacks and weaknesses, which the player must learn and exploit to defeat them. The variety of bosses, combined with the need to use different spells strategically, adds depth to the gameplay and helps keep the experience engaging. These boss fights are a significant part of what makes Totally Rad stand out among other NES platformers. Totally Rad is generally considered a moderately difficult game, with some sections that can be quite challenging, especially for players not accustomed to NES-era platformers. Here's a breakdown of the difficulty factors, enemy patterns, and variety. The game features a wide range of enemies, each with distinct attack patterns. Some enemies move quickly or have erratic patterns that can be difficult to avoid, especially in combination with the platforming challenges. Learning these patterns and reacting quickly is essential, which can be tough for first-time players. Platforming challenges. The platforming sections can be tricky, with precise jumps required and some areas featuring moving platforms or environmental hazards. The controls, while generally responsive, can feel a bit stiff at times, making these sections more challenging. Mistimed jumps or miscalculations can lead to frequent deaths, particularly in the later levels, boss fights. The boss fights add to the difficulty, as each boss has unique attack patterns and requires specific strategies to defeat. Players need to make smart use of their magic abilities and learn the boss's patterns to succeed. The bosses often hit hard and can take a lot of damage, making these encounters intense. Magic system. While the magic system is a key feature, managing your magic meter effectively is crucial. Spells are powerful, but overusing them can leave you without enough magic for critical moments, adding a layer of strategy to the game. Some spells are more effective against certain enemies or bosses, so choosing the right spell for the situation is important. Overall, Totally Rad is challenging but fair. It's the kind of game where practice and patience pay off, and players who enjoy mastering difficult platformers will likely appreciate the challenge. However, it might be a bit daunting for casual players or those who are not used to the higher difficulty typical of many NES games.